Today I want to talk to you about empathy training as a parent. So I'm working with a lot of parents lately, and I've noticed that you are struggling with when to intervene with your child and when not to, or your children, because many of you have more than one child. So it's hard because on the one hand, you do need to control the situation, right? If the kids are getting out of hand, you need to either get them to calm down, or if they're getting violent, which sometimes happens, you need to get in there and shake things up, stop it. So when you're doing parenting, two of the biggest goals you are trying to accomplish is one, teaching your child to understand how they impact the people around them, and then two, how to make a logical decision in a situation. How do you teach a 2-year-old to make a logical decision? It's kind of a hard thing to do, right? But those are your two goals, and I want you guys to keep that in mind. Every decision that you're making as a parent is to teach one of those two things. How do I make my child be more respectful of the people around them and understand how they're impacting them? Or two, how do I teach them to make a logical decision? So if those are the goals, then that's why couples and parents use timeout. Timeout is meant to get a child thinking logically about a situation. So a lot of times parents are asking me, what are good discipline techniques and what should I be doing to teach them they did something wrong? And a timeout is really meant to get the child to think about their choices and to take them out of the situation. So if you think of those two goals, say kids are acting up and they're attacking each other, like one of them throws a toy at the other and the other one throws a toy back. So your job is to try and teach them how they're impacting each other. So the first thing you do is you ensure safety and remove them from each other and from that situation right away, as soon as violence occurs. And the timeout is really meant to be for them to take some time to calm down and to be more thoughtful about their next choice. So if they're in the timeout and they're de-escalated, then they're not ready to think about what they're doing or why they did what they did. And so really you kind of are just meant to leave them in the timeout until they're in a better place to really hear you emotionally. And then that's why after a timeout, it's really helpful to do the next thing, which is talk to them about why you put them in timeout. Do you know why I put you in timeout? Because you threw a toy. You want them to be able to say it to you. Because I threw a toy at my brother? Yeah, you're not supposed to throw toys. Why aren't we supposed to throw toys at our brother? Because it could cause them to get hurt. And so all of that is you, one, getting them to calm down in a timeout. Eventually, they have to calm themselves down. But then two, you're trying to reinforce this idea that there's a reason for why you're doing what you do as a parent. And I think that's important for all parents to be thinking about, is that you're not just doing anything. You should be intervening for a specific reason. There should be a purpose. And your kid over time needs to start to understand that purpose. It shouldn't be just a my way or the highway because I said so sort of deal. Because if you approach it that way, then your kid never comes up with a reason for themselves for why they shouldn't hit their brother, or why they shouldn't steal the toy, or why they shouldn't, I don't know, one of the million things that kids do. So that's where that conversation is important and valuable. It's to get them thinking about why they did what they did so that they can make a better decision next time. And then it's a teaching moment. So at that point, then you're trying to give them the skill for the next time they're that angry. So next time when you're angry like that, what can you do instead? That's you asking your kid to give you some ideas, and they can say, I can walk away. Yes, that's a good plan. Or I can come talk to mommy. Yep, that's a good plan. Or a daddy, because daddy's there sometimes too. Or I can ask for help. You can be frustrated, but you can't act in inappropriate or violent ways. That's the message, right? And so as parents, I'm encouraging you to see the timeout in a different way. It's not so much as a disciplinary tactic to control them or to get them to feel pain for something they did wrong. No, it's to get them out of their caveman brain, this midbrain where it's like fight or flight, and back into the forebrain. This is the discerning part of the brain where you're thinking about what you're doing and why you're doing it. And don't expect this to happen overnight. I have a 2-year-old and the conversation is still very minimal at best. But over time, you have to kind of understand this is a shaping process. So over time, they'll start to understand these concepts, but they're going to make a lot of mistakes before they get it. And so the best thing about the timeout is it's really just a chance to take them out of that situation so no further harm happens. Thank you, and please follow if you find these things helpful. I'm with therapist in stlouis.com.